Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's a lovely day, lovely Mother's Day. I want to give a shout out to all the moms out there. Hope you have a wonderful, restful, special day. Every day should be a special day for moms though. They do so much. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but I have a mom, and we gotta give thanks to where it's due, and even though it's just the one day, we should be thanking them and showing moms and our wives, yes, men, that means you too, that they're special to us. So anyways, I don't know if you can hear it. That's the cicada invasion. Yes. I mean, they're here. I've not noticed any significance yet in, damage to crops or anything, but it may happen. Also, last night, I didn't do a live stream. Some of you might be wondering, what happened? The live stream it didn't exist. I was getting ready for the live stream, was kind of thinking about it, getting myself ready for it, and then got toned out to a medical call. It was actually a drug overdose. And then ended up after that one having a fire call. So by the time I got back home, it was too late. So I apologize for that. Not getting a live stream up last night. Also, a lot of you, I'm sure, are thinking, well, nothing's happened. This has been another big nothing, right? This whole solar flare, CME coming in, geomagnetic storms, nothing's happened, right? Not necessarily true. What I thought was going to happen has pretty much happened, is that there have been some small, minor, localized disruptions. There's been, I've personally heard from a few people that work in IT saying that it's just been playing havoc, that they've been, certain systems that's been struggling to keep up and running. They've been more active in trying to keep things going. There have been reports of a few outages across the planet. But, honestly, it's not been that big of a deal, which is exactly what I said, that it was probably not going to be a big deal, that we should get ready for it. That's part of being preppers. That's something that I talked about over in Locals. If you want to get the the uncensored free speech content, you should go sign up to Locals. That's where I post that. That's what's the day that YouTube says the Prepared Homestead can't be on here anymore. That's where you're going to find me, over on Locals. That's our own private little area that we post things. You can post things. My wife gets on there and shares stuff, and that's where you should be. But anyways, I was talking about that I think part of this psychological operation that's being done, and there's multiple areas. It's multifaceted. You have to understand that it's not just like one thing that they're doing. It's multifaceted, and one of those is that to get patriots, folks like you and I, so conditioned to just this stuff happening, that we don't react to it anymore. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal when stuff happens. And I'm seeing that more and more every time there's something that we should be ready for. We should, just in case things go, it's like, say, if you're, look at weather, tornado, potential chance for tornado, and you sit there, who cares? And then you get that one time you get blown away by it. You should always kind of get ready for it. And I think people are getting that way when it comes to disastrous things. We put out the warning, and so many, patriot preppers are like, it'll be just another big nothing. And at some point, it most likely won't be another big nothing. Something will happen. And so be careful of that. It doesn't mean you should be on edge all the time, constantly in this state of panic and fear. But, take precautions as needed. And then when it passes and it's obvious that it was nothing, don't just like, oh man, I feel foolish now. I prepped up, I got a little bit more ready for nothing. No, don't look at it that way. It's just, all it is, it's more training. It's getting yourself ready a little bit better. But that's pretty much what happened so far. There are some things that's going to probably come out of this. Number one, this is probably the most significant thing, and what I talked about over the last few days, is that these events, solar events, do in fact impact our weather. They impact our weather. They impact, things like volcanoes and earthquakes. And we've been having some crazy weather already. And I'm sure it's been manipulated. I am not denying that at all. But the fact is that we've had some crazy weather. It's that kind of a year. And then now we've had some major geomagnetic storms it's going to play into the weather also. All that energy's got to go somewhere. And so over the next week or so, we could be seeing some pretty strong storms. So be ready for that, especially if you live in those areas, that kind of the tornado alley. So this is that time of the year. You live in Tornado Alley, and now we've just had that. So be ready for that. There's also the potential for volcanic activity and earthquake activity. I noticed yesterday, I think it was in Guatemala, a volcano erupted. Let me get that right. Is that because of this? Who knows? There's still another, and it's the largest one so far, an X5.8 solar flare that's coming in. So there's still one more coming in, at least, maybe two. So that it's not completely over. But we should, kind of be ready for the storms and for that kind of activity. I know there's a lot of people online talking about that maybe all the aurora borealis was just, something done by HAARP. It's possible, but what if the psyop is also to make you think that it's just HAARP and, not realize the significance in those northern lights? And that's really what I want to kind of key in on for a minute. The northern lights that many of you saw, Friday night? Those lights came down further south than they had in over 100 years, something like 105 years, 103 years, something like that, 110 years, whatever it was. The furthest south that they've been. They were seen in Mexico, they were seen in Puerto Rico. Here where I'm at in southern Missouri, they were saying that if we had a good, clear view of the northern horizon, that we would probably see them out on the horizon. When in fact, the entire sky was filled with them from north to south, and then of course further south of us. That's actually concerning. The reason that that's concerning is it shows that our magnetic field of protection around this planet has weakened more significantly than we even thought. And of course, those numbers that they put out on how weak or how strong it is are kept secret, so we don't really know. But it indicates that the magnetic field is weakened. And so what that tells me is, and tells the experts, is that it's not going to take a massively strong CME like what was seen back in 1859 to take out the grid. Back then, they estimate that one was like between an X45 and an X80. It may not take that. It may take something half of that, or fourth, or third, or something much smaller to do the same type of damage to us that would have been done back then. And so that's concerning. It's also concerning, I think, and this is more of a pet peeve than anything, going back to what I said at the first of the video, is that so many people just discount this as nothing. It's that conditioning. To me, that's showing that the psyop, the conditioning is working, and that even folks like you and I are just kind of discounting it as nothing. Same thing we've seen happen with Iran and Israel and other things, is that people that know better, that know that they should, be prepared for stuff, when things potentially are happening, they ignore it and they say, oh, nothing's going to happen. And then afterwards, they're like, see, I'm right. I was right for doing nothing. What if you'd been wrong? That's the question. What if you'd been wrong? For myself, my family, we're not going into some crazy panic. We're not going out and, spending money we don't have. We're not doing ridiculous things. We're just being extra precautious during those time periods that we think, something could happen right now. So we should be a little bit more aware instead of just laughing it off as nothing. And I think that's a dangerous place to be. that laughing it off as nothing, because that's when the times that you're gonna get bit, you're gonna get burned. And so be careful of that. It is a fine balance. I get it. It's a very fine balance. You don't want to go too far one way, and then you're constantly in this state of panic and fear, paranoia. You think that everything around the next corner is going to destroy us. But then the other side is that you just become so complacent that you just don't care. We have to find that balance. We have to figure out a place that is comfortable for us, but yet it's also a place that we can constantly be ready for the next thing that's going to take us out, because we never know when that is. I mean, certainly there's probably more important things going on around you in your life. And that should be priority, but we should always be aware of what's going on and how it might affect us, because there's so many variables happening. I mean, being that we are very likely living in the end times, and that we're dealing with a world's government that is just trying to destroy us, and they have this technology, and they have the means, and they have the motivation and the dedication. So we never know at what point something is going to substantially worsen. And then, of course, like I said, it was also things just weather, and there's, you know, the stuff like I went on last night on my calls where people just get sick and injured, and natural things happen. And so we have to be ready for that. That's the whole point of preparedness as a lifestyle, of self-sufficiency as a lifestyle. It's not being, you know, that we're just constantly on edge and in fear, and it's that we live in a world that we are ready for what happens. You know, if you're driving down the road and you have a flat tire, are you ready to handle that? Do you know how to change your tire? Do you have a spare tire? Does the spare tire have any air in it? You know, you go out and get in your vehicle and the battery's dead. You know, what do you know how to handle that? Do you have the things on your vehicle, jumper cables or a little jumper battery box or something like that to get your vehicle started? You know, you go out on your front porch and you trip and fall and you break your arm. Are you ready for that? Do you know how to handle a situation like that? It's more than just the world is ending and the sky is falling. It's being ready to handle just the things that life throws at us. And it seems that we are living in a time period where life is throwing a lot at us. And so that's why we should be a little bit more prepared, and certainly be able to take care of ourselves on our own. That's where that self-sufficiency comes in. So be ready for some storms this week. Be kind of paying attention, especially those of you that live in areas that you know are more prone to storms this time of the year. Could certainly happen. I know where I live, they are predicting some more storms this coming week. So I'll be paying attention to that to see how severe they may end up being. And then, of course, you know, things like earthquakes, that's not something you can do really much about, but it's quite possible. I mean, that New Madrid fault line probably would like to go sometime soon, and with all the things that's happened, it may be the year for that to go off. So be ready for that one also. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.